Well, a very good evening, everyone. It is my absolute delight to host tonight's LifeVantage overview. Uh, why I say my absolute delight is because I'm doing it with my colleague Julie Carnell for the first time. And Julie is the very first person that I met when I discovered LifeVantage back in January 2018 at the first company event that I went to. So this feels like a coming home of sorts.
Oh.
Super excited. Julie, I'm going to hand over to Julie in a minute, and she is going to do some background on the science and on the products that have arisen as a result of the science. Then Julie's going to share a testimonial from someone in her family, which I'm super excited to hear because I know there's been some quite dramatic results. And then I'm going to take over and just cover the company in a little detail, just to give people who've never heard of this company before a little bit of background about who this business is and how it does its business. And for those of you that are guests, we'll then throw it open to questions and answers. So if anybody's got any questions, we'll stop sharing and we'll throw that open for Q&A, and that can be handled by Julie and myself. We do have a number of other distributors on tonight who can also help field some questions. So without any further ado, I'm super excited to hand over to my colleague Julie Carnell, who's going to talk to us about the science and the products. So Julie, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Brett. You've become a dear friend to me, and we are one great, big, lovely sort of team, aren't we, really? So thank you, everyone, for coming on the call tonight. I've been using LifeVantage products for probably 3.5 years now, and I can say, hand on my heart, that me and my family are feeling amazing. So my passion as a health coach is helping people and animals live a very healthy, long life. And so these products are actually helping us to achieve this. So I have to make you aware that LifeVantage and its affiliates do not claim to cure, heal, prevent, mitigate, or diagnose any disease. This is for educational purposes only. Okay. So LifeVantage began in a lab with a single question: is declining health something that we need to accept as part of getting older? So in 1969, our core scientist, Dr. Joe McCord, discovered an antioxidant enzyme in our bodies called superoxide dismutase, and it took me a long time to learn that. He spent most of his life focusing on this area and how our genes contain incredible abilities to keep our bodies healthy. So we no longer have to worry about this in a way, because there is a way to change our gene expression and to keep ourselves well. So decades later, we learned how we could reignite or maybe upregulate these genes to activate these abilities. Thank you. So taking supplements versus flipping the switch and activating. And this new field of science is called Nutrigenomics. Nutri meaning nutrition, nutrition and natural compounds. Genomics equals affecting the genome and the genes. This is causing great upheaval in the supplementary field, as this is when we add in vitamins and minerals that we may be deficient in. But we are talking about activation, flipping the switches back on that our bodies haven't used since we were maybe 20 years old. And this is all part of the aging process. And the key one is the NRF2 activation switch. And this upregulates the good genes and downregulates the bad genes. And I think there's about 250 good genes actually that are upregulated. So, you know, it's massive. Thank you. So the first theory of aging is about oxidative stress and what causes it and how can we set our bodies apart from it. So a great analogy, as you can see on the screen, is when you can take an apple, you cut it in half and you leave it on the side for about half an hour or so. Very quickly, you'll see it starts to oxidize and it starts to go brown, doesn't it? So it's been exposed to oxygen, and the same thing is happening to our cells, as you can see. The same in our bodies. We have to consume oxygen to breathe, but this natural process is exposing us to free radicals that are very bad, and they attack our cells, and they try to balance themselves by stealing a positive electron from our cells, and that imbalance is called oxidative stress. Our bodies can fight off this free radical damage using our own antioxidants. So where do we get free radicals from? Well, as you can see on the right-hand side, pretty much everywhere. Technology, environment, pollution, microwaves, Wi-Fi's, pesticides, herbicides, even the water that we drink. So even when we exercise, actually, the more exercise we do, the more oxygen we breathe, and the more, you know, free radicals we make. So we just can't get away from it, actually. Next slide. So what the company did as a result of Dr. McCord's discoveries was to combine 5 all-natural ingredients that you can see on the bottom of the page in very, very low dosages, patented formula, and actually about 2,000 attempts at finding the right combinations. He finally found one that reduces oxidative stress on average by 40% in 30 days. And actually it's up to 70% in 120 days, which is totally incredible. So the ingredients are in very low doses, as you can see: turmeric, which is a good anti-inflammatory; milk thistle, which is a great liver tonic and cleanser; green tea, antioxidant and a good for metabolism; and ashwagandha, it's a root, a good mood balancer; and bacopa, which is a flower, which is great for brain clarity. So as you can see on the graph on the right-hand side, all the ingredients have the power to open the NRF pathway just a little bit, but when they are combined, the difference is huge. As you can see, it is 18 times more powerful as a result of that protected patented formula. So this is an invention that cannot be copied. So what is this NRF2 pathway? Well, think of it, as I said, like a doorbell on your cells. And as a result of aging, that starts at about 20, it goes quiet. It loses the ability to boost and produce enough antioxidants to counteract these free radicals. So this kind of rings the doorbell again and says, wake up, produce those antioxidants like you used to do when you were a child or maybe a young adult. And the result is that glutathione is increased, and it's increased by 300%, this is the mother of all detoxifying antioxidants in our body. So this creates an activation process that makes millions of antioxidants in every cell every day. It's just incredible. So look, you might say, well, you know, I have a really healthy, clean diet and I eat lots of fresh fruit and vegetables, and that's me. I was like that too. I'm okay. I don't need this. But we know that this just isn't true, because these are called dietary or secondary antioxidants. And the challenge with these is that they fight free radicals on a one-to-one basis, and then they're done. So we have 300 septillion free radicals in our bodies at any one time. And I can't even imagine that number. But this is because our lifestyle is so toxic. So you can't eat your way out of oxidative stress. You would need to eat 11 pounds of blueberries, 375 oranges, 125 vitamin C tablets, or even 87 glasses of red wine. So what NRF2 Protandum does is it produces the body's own antioxidants, primary antioxidants, that fight free radicals on a 1,000,000-to-1 basis. So this is huge. So every cell produces millions of antioxidants. It's mind-blowing. You still need to eat healthy, of course. And the graph on the right shows that after 30 days, you cannot tell the blood age of an 80-year-old to a 20-year-old. And this test is tested by a T-bar test. Thank you. So to make it even more exciting, after that, many universities and other research institutes showing interest in this product and conducted their own independent peer review studies into the effect of it. So if you go onto the National Library of Medicine, which is called pubmed.gov, and put in oxidative stress into the search bar, well, I actually had a look this evening, and there's actually just over 236,000 studies on oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is linked to many, many nasty diseases that we now suffer from. Well, Protandum has 26 of its own independent peer review studies. So you can also look that up by putting in Protandum in the search bar. These studies are done by Harvard University, National Institute of Health, National Institute of Aging, and the one that I particularly like is the Washington State University in 2015. And that looked into the whole field of NRF2 activation. And their conclusion was that NRF2 may well be the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. So this is absolutely incredible for our health and wellness. So perfect, lovely. Next slide. So the company then decided to use this NRF2 activation and put it into skincare and shampoo products to work from the outside in. And the skin is our largest organ, and it weighs actually around 7% of our body. So the skincare, as you can see, has 4 parts. It has a cleanser, an eye cream, a toner, and a moisturizer. And they are absolutely beautiful, and they're great for men too. And you know, on average, I reckon it lasts about 3 months. The hair care has 3 parts to it. It's totally beautiful. It smells of mint, and the scalp serum is incredible for men. So as you can see from the pictures, that you know, it's a massive difference after a few weeks there. So these are very clean products. I would only use clean products. So you can download a thing called the Think Dirty app, and this app rates everything that's in your personal care products, you know, in your bathroom for toxicity and carcinogens, so like cancer-causing ingredients. And it's from 0 to 10, so 0 to 3 being very clean, and then 10 being very toxic. So all our products are between 0 and 3. So that's fantastic. That ticks my box. So the second theory of aging. So after the great success of NRF2, the company turned its attention to different pathways, and another cellular pathway called NRF1, sorry, and the mitochondria. So you may remember in school, in biology, that the mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells. We have thousands of them in organs, such as our heart and lungs can have to have 4,000 mitochondria in each cell. So between 85 and 90% of our energy comes from our mitochondria. So extremely important. We could not survive without this energy. So unfortunately, our body's production of mitochondria slows down over time, and the body is constantly fixing and removing damaged mitochondria and producing new ones in a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. So NRF1 increases cellular energy, ATP, and it also while slowing down aging. It improves sleep quality and cellular repair, supports cardiovascular and brain health, and improves cellular health, cells function at peak performances, boosts mitochondria production and their ability to network. So beautiful ingredients here, natural ingredients again. We have coenzyme Q10, we have grape extract, quercetin, which is really good for the heart, and acyl L-carnitine, which is good for performance and recovery. So great for, you know, horses that are competing, maybe athletes that are competing, just for everyday life, just to have the energy to, you know, do another day, really. So yeah, brilliant. So next slide. So the LifeVantage has put the 2 together, and they are called the Protandum Dual Synergizer. So NRF2 cleans out the cells and NRF1 gives you back the energy that you've lost. So it's a power pack of just incredible ingredients, and I love it. So, summary of our results backed by science. It improves sleep, it improves vitality, it increases energy, better memory and focus, healthier hair, skin and nails, and anti-aging of our cells. So there you go, that's perfect. So I'm going to hand you back over now to Brett.
And Jules, hopefully you can hear me. Thank you, that was excellent as always. Your knowledge and your ability to just bring that to life is phenomenal. Thank you for that. I remember back in January 2018 when I first met you, hearing about some big improvements that had happened in your family. So I clearly know that story. Why don't you share that for everyone here? Because I think that's such a powerful story about the effects of what happened.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah. Well, initially I started it first, and I had great results very, very quickly. That's not always the case, I know, but I was eating very clean. I was very healthy. So I think that's probably why it happened quite quickly for me. I then put my husband, Richie, on it. A lot of you know Richie. He's going to be 70 in a few months' time. I know, he doesn't look it, does he?
No.
And he had chronic inflammation of his knee after a serious rugby injury. And he had 36 years of chronic discomfort, quite honestly, and always limping, always not being able to sleep. Anyway, cut a long story short, he now does have no pain. So nothing, no discomfort, nothing. So he's sorted. And then about 2 years ago, my poor old dad became very very apparent that he wasn't coping at all. He was losing weight, he was becoming very wobbly, and he used to come round to our house a couple of times a week for meals, and it was becoming very apparent that he was not right, and he wasn't letting us know. So it turns out that he was sort of sleeping all day and awake all night, and he wasn't eating. And basically, we then decided that we didn't want to put him in a home. We didn't want to, it was just impossible for me to work. So I gave up work as a childminder, and we decided to move in and look after him, which, has been lovely for him, and a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but, we've got used to it. So after sort of many, this is about 2 years ago, so many trips to the hospital, operations, we started him back on the NRF2. He'd been on it for a while, and then I don't know what happened. He decided he didn't want to take it anymore. So we put him back on it, and that sort of seemed to keep him really sort of fairly well and quite positive throughout all his treatments. But, he needed a big operation basically for his gut. So as soon as he'd had the operation and he was sort of recovering, we put him onto the NRF1 as well. And that's when we saw like massive change. The NRF2 had kept him really well, and all the nurses and doctors said, we can't believe he's come through it. He's come through it. He's come through it. And I kept saying, well, he's on this. And they just laughed at me, of course, which is what they do. So, so since he's been on the NRF1, he's actually gone from strength to strength. He's put back on all his weight. He was, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, he was 8 stone and pretty much in bed the whole time. I mean, I used to get him up, make him sit up and eat, and then he'd go back to bed. So he literally had no energy and no weight on him, and it was a very worrying time for everybody. But anyway, since he's been on the NRF1 and he's had that op, he is back to his normal sort of about 10 and a half, 11 stone. He sleeps well. He has all his energy up. He gets up at 8 o'clock in the morning, gets himself dressed, and he doesn't go to bed until about 11 o'clock at night. So, and
Julie, when we spoke earlier today, where had he just come back in from? This really shook me. I couldn't believe it. What had he been doing?
Yes, he's back playing golf.
That's just phenomenal.
I know.
How many times a week is he doing that?
Well, he does it twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday. He meets up with his old buddies. They're all between 80 and 90. They play at least 9 holes, and then they have some lunch. So as soon as lockdown, came, we could go out again. We got him back down there, and he's playing better golf than he's ever played. Can you believe it? His mates are really upset because they've been playing for the last 3 years and he hasn't. But he's literally come back bigger and better. And he probably would play more if he could, but he's not allowed to go any more times than, I don't know.
That's amazing. I love that. So if that's not a testimonial of improved vitality, because I remember probably about 2 years ago having conversations with you about just how bad it was, how seriously ill he was, and what a comeback that is. Just incredible. So amazing. And thank you for sharing yours and Julie's story as well.
Thank
you. And I guess we've got a couple of guests. So for the guests that are on here, let me go on and just talk a little bit about the company. So who is LifeVantage, or LifeVantage as we say here in Europe, and what's the story behind the company, for those that don't know it, because it's probably, so I described it yesterday as one of the biggest companies you may never have heard of, right? So it is a biomedical company, and it started with the launch of that product, Protandum NRF2, that you've talked about, back in 2003. So it's 17 years old this year. In 2005, after the first couple of research papers hit the street, hit PubMed.gov, ABC, which is the equivalent of the BBC in the US, they have a primetime investigative report, which is like our BBC Panorama. And they did investigative reports into the company and into the product to try and debunk the science that was being published. Well, anybody who knows anything about science and the publication of science and peer reviews knows that we were in a firm footing. And what that primetime investigative report revealed is that actually the investigative reporter's blood, John Canoni's blood, after 2 weeks showed a reduction in oxidative stress of 45% in just 14 days. And actually the results in the science was 40% in a month. So you can imagine what happened after that. It just exploded. The company is listed on NASDAQ, which is the stock exchange in New York City. It's operating, as you said, Julie, in this space of nutrigenomics. That is predicted to be a $17 billion industry in the next few years. So it's in this space of capitalizing on nutrition and natural compounds. So this demand for us to do more and more with nature's medicine rather than with synthetic medication. The company just last night, in fact, published its 2020 results. It's approaching $250 million, $232 million as of yesterday. For the period ending June 2020, and we predict it will become a US billion-dollar company in the next 3 to 5 years. The very famous activist Erin Brockovich, who Julia Roberts played in the movie that won her the Academy Award, joined the corporate board in 2019, so she sits on our board. And she selected the company as one she'd been watching for a while to get involved with. Because of the good that we're doing. And then just before all the craziness set in on the 9th of January, LifeVantage was invited to ring the closing bell on Wellness Week on NASDAQ, the Thursday of that Wellness Week, which was a very big deal. And you can see that it's considered to be a disruptor similar to companies like Amazon or Netflix, in this space of personalized wellness. And there on the right-hand side, you can see the share price that's the 3-month period over the lockdown period and how it's bounced back. So a very strong, well-capitalized, well-run business, which is great. We're in 20 countries, stretching from Canada and North America through Europe, over into Asia, and down into Oceania, Australia, and New Zealand. And New Zealand opened just last year. So you can see a good spread. I guess we're missing in Africa and South America at the moment, but we open several countries every single year. So watch this space for the latest news on where we go next. How does the business work? Well, people like Julie and myself, having such good experience with the products, want to get involved in sharing the great success we have with the products through social sharing. inviting people to events just like this, to hear about the science, hear about the products, people's personal experience. We don't have a shop. We have no assets. We have a personal referral website. You can see an example of that over on the right-hand side of the screen. And we get that website in every single one of those 20 countries that we're open in. So we can do business in our personal website in all of those countries. And the company fulfills those orders from local warehouses in local currency, which avoids customs and excise duties for our customers. So customers pay, the price they see is what they pay. There is no customs to pay whatsoever. And we're very proud of this. And this is something that I was very hot on when I was looking at this business. Because it's publicly traded on the NASDAQ and because it's a member of the Direct Selling Association, it's very transparent and has to be because of the regulatory interest in what people are earning at every single level in the business and how long it takes on average for people to get to those levels in the business. So that first column, you see the distributor rank. That is a rank descriptor for volume levels in the business. We have 12 of those in total. And at each of those levels, volume levels, there is an average monthly commission that's paid to all distributors at that level. And you can see that in the third column. And over on the right-hand side, the number of months on average it takes to get to each of the levels. So Pro 3 is a foundation rank in our business. It's where you're doing $5,000 a month. You can see that on average, people at that level in the business are earning about £500, just over £500 a month, which is contributing towards bills that they might have, car payments, mortgage payments, whatever it is, rental and so on. So you can see that within 8 months, you can build up on average a really good business if you put the effort in and spread the word and share the word as we are doing. And long-term, you're building a legacy business for your family. This is a willable asset that you can leave to people in your family. So if you're looking at this and thinking, this sounds like an interesting business opportunity, amazing products backed on incredible science, as you heard from Julie, particularly the Protandum NRF2 with all those patents is a unique product. Everybody needs it. It's patented. No one else can copy it. There is nothing else like it in the market. Everyone can benefit from it. It's affordable. It's less than £1.55 a day. It's backed by very reputable science, as you heard, and it's consumable. So our customers benefit from subscriptions. They get that product at a discounted price on a subscription. And so that delivers what's called leveraged income for those people who are interested. And in order to do the business, really 24/7 support this, we're in teams all over the world. We all operate on the same system. We launch people in their business. We learn while we earn, and then we step into leadership and share the message in the way that Julie and I are doing this evening. In normal times, we have regular meetings, training and events, corporate events, but of course, much of that's done online at the moment. We're fully in the online space in terms of Zoom and so on. And the company runs regular incentives and incentive trips. And in fact, I was on one in February with Julie and her husband, Richie. A great time was had. Lots of good learning from the best in the industry, people like Eric Warrer and so on. And then there's also private team support because our team is fully international, fully global, and in every single territory of the world right now. So that's about the company and about us. So if you've heard information that you think, wow, with that testimonial that Julie was telling us about tonight, I'd really like to try those products out, then it's super simple. We'd refer you back to the person who suggested you come along here tonight. They can tee you up with the website and order your products that you would like. As I was saying earlier, monthly subscription orders are at a reduced price. So people who take a subscription get a benefit. In exchange for a subscription, you get a reduced price, about between 15 and 20%, depending on the product. If you're interested in joining this movement, like Julie and myself, sharing these unique products, changing lives and earning a residual income or a leveraged income, we call it, then please, again, talk to the person who invited you here this evening. And I think, Jules, at this point, I'm going to stop sharing, thank everyone for their time, and see if we have any questions.
Thank you, everyone.
So, are there any questions from anybody this evening? You'll just have to unmute in order to ask that question, please. No? All good? Excellent. Give me a thumbs up from those that have got their cameras on, please. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for coming along this evening. I appreciate everyone's time. We've run it to just about 9 o'clock. We've done quite well. So thanks, everyone. And if you've got any interest, please go back to the person who invited you to see this tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jules.
Well done.